Welcome, curious minds, to the deep dive. Today, we're embarking on quite a fascinating adventure. Not through, ancient ruins or distant galaxies, but actually right into the heart of language itself.
Language, yeah.
Imagine, if you will, expanding your English word power, maybe even mastering a new language, not through endless flashcards or tedious rote memorization.
Right, the boring stuff.
Exactly. But by genuinely immersing yourself in a captivating story. Wouldn't that feel like, well, the ultimate shortcut to feeling truly well-informed?
Yeah, where those aha moments just sort of happen organically.
Instead of feeling forced, yeah. So our mission today is to take a deep dive into exactly that kind of resource. Learn Vocab Fast, Book 1 by Scarlett Ward.
Okay.
And this isn't your ordinary kind of dry vocabulary textbook. From the sources we've looked at, it seems meticulously designed.
It does. As a truly interactive learning tool, apparently built for rapid improvement. And this is key for words to actually stick.
So our story opens with Scarlett in this really picturesque setting, and bam, right away, we hit our first word. She's described as reclined on a sun-warmed boulder, just soaking in the scent of pine and the faint rustle of bracken. Sounds incredibly peaceful.
It really does ground you immediately, doesn't it, in the environment?
Yeah.
It's part of the genius of this approach, I think.
Yeah.
So to clarify, recline just means, leaned or laid back.
Yeah.
Resting.
Okay. Simple enough.
And bracken. That's a large, coarse fern. You often see it in open fields or woodlands. You can almost feel the sun and smell the forest with her.
Right, which helps anchor those words maybe to a sensory experience.
Exactly that. It links it. And pretty soon, Scarlett isn't alone. Rocky joins her.
Ah, Rocky.
And our source tells us he shows this mix of focus and ambivalence.
Ambivalence. That's an interesting word choice right at the start. It implies he's maybe not entirely sure about whatever they're about to do, hints at something more.
It absolutely does. Ambivalence means having mixed or conflicting feelings about something. It's subtle, but it adds layers to his character right away. And what's fascinating, like you said, is how these words aren't just, dropped in randomly. They're integral. They build character, set the scene.
It feels like part of that meaningful repetition maybe you mentioned we'd discuss, where the context becomes a memory cue.
Precisely. The context is the cue. So Scarlett, she's described as witty.
Right.
She immediately questions if this new quest Rocky's proposing is just another one of his woodland crazes.
Woodland crazes. I love that. Gives you a real sense of their dynamic, doesn't it?
It does. And a craze, of course, is just an intense, short-lived trend or fad. So it shows her playful skepticism.
But it's not just a craze this time.
Apparently not. Here's where it gets really interesting. Rocky reveals their objective. Find a yardarm.
A yardarm.
Yeah, from an old shipwreck. Somehow it got dragged inland for a festival ages ago. And get this.
What?
A squatter has actually been using it to stash food.
No way. A shipwreck part used as a pantry by a squatter. That's incredibly vivid.
Isn't it?
And it immediately makes those words yardarm and squatter so much more memorable. So just for everyone listening, a yardarm is the outer end of a horizontal spar on a ship where sails or flags hang.
Correct.
And a squatter is someone unlawfully occupying unused land or property. Wow. It adds this touch of mystery, doesn't it?
Exactly. It makes the vocabulary stick because it's tied to something unexpected, maybe even a bit quirky. It's not just a definition, it's a detail that builds the world. Much more impactful than a list.
Okay, so they're after this squatter's stash. Unsurprisingly, the mention of food gets Scarlett's interest whetted. I can definitely relate to that.
Yeah. And whetted means sharpened or stimulated, especially appetite or interest. A perfect fit for that moment.
Makes sense.
And Rocky goes on, he talks about this bounty worthy of the preservers of Barkridge legend.
The preservers?
Yeah, he means jars, tins, smoked fish, all sorts of, good stuff. He even jokes that with a haul like that, even a pauper would feel like royalty.
A bounty indeed. Okay, so preservers. People or things that keep something safe or in its original state, like preserving food.
Got it.
And a pauper is someone extremely poor, lacking basic resources. Rocky really knows how to paint a picture of this treasure.
He does. It gives the words context, emotional weight. You feel the anticipation.
So as their journey continues, they weave through more of that bracken.
Repetition. See, we heard that right at the start.
Yeah, good catch. That natural repetition the book uses. And then they find a clue. A piece of calico fabric. Tied fastidiously to a low branch, a marker.
Okay, calico. That's cotton fabric, right? Often with small prints or multicolored design.
Exactly. And tied fastidiously means it was done really meticulously, painstakingly, precisely.
Someone took care. It implies, intention, raises questions about who left it, why.
Right, adds to the intrigue.
Definitely. It's not just about learning fastidiously. You're absorbing the meticulousness of the action itself through the story. So they soon find the yardarm, partly buried, and there's an enamel pot resting against a boulder nearby.
An enamel pot, okay.
But Scarlett approaches cautiously. She remembers, apparently, a past hornet fiasco.
Oh dear, a hornet fiasco. Sounds like a story in itself. We've all had those moments, maybe not hornets, but approaching something cautiously after a past mishap.
Yeah, maybe like assembling furniture.
Exactly. Anyway, she's fearing what bad might betide them.
Okay, so enamel is that hard, glossy coating, right? Often on metal or teeth.
Correct. And betide means to happen or befall, especially something bad. It's a classic adventure moment, isn't it? The cautious approach.
It is. But Rocky nudges the pot, confirms it's safe.
Yeah.
And inside,
to treasure.
Neatly wrapped smoked trout. Scarlett's delighted, calls it a feast fit for paupers or princes. But just as they're about to claim their prize, drama.
Oh, what happened?
An elderly hiker emerges from the trees, beseeching them.
Beseeching them?
Yeah, asking them, begging them really, to leave some for the winter.
Wow, okay. That changes things. Beseeching. Asking earnestly or begging. That's a powerful word right there. Turns the treasure hunt on its head.
Totally. And the hiker emphasizes the rule of conservation. Sharing with the forest.
Conservation.
Which introduces this really interesting dynamic. It raises that question. How do our individual desires mesh with, the well-being of the whole?
Yeah. Conservation, the protection and preservation of natural resources, it suddenly elevates the story beyond just finding food. It's a moral dilemma.
Exactly. It makes the word not just a definition you learn, but a choice they face.
And you mentioned this earlier, but how often does a vocabulary book actually manage to weave in something like an ethical question? That feels unusual.
That's a fantastic point. And no, it's quite rare, actually. Most vocab resources are purely transactional, word, definition, maybe a sentence, done.
Right.
But here, conservation isn't just learned, it's experienced as this choice Rocky has to make. It embeds the word in a value system. That's part of what makes this approach, I think, feel deeper than a standard textbook.
So what does Rocky do? Does he listen?
Surprisingly, yes. He yields. He leaves half the fish.
He yields, okay.
He even acknowledges we aren't the only preservers around, which is a nice callback.
That is a really nice moment. Shows some character growth, maybe? Willingness to compromise?
Definitely. Yielded means gave way or surrendered, often under pressure. It highlights that moment of decision where a simple treasure hunt gains, a deeper meaning.
So they head back with their share.
They do. And there's this description of an aerial view revealing bark ridge spread out below them like a patchwork quilt.
Aerial view, meaning from the air, right? Existing or operating in the air. Gives you that sense of perspective, the bigger picture after their little adventure.
Exactly, a wider lens. And as they reclined again on the boulder.
Reclined again. Full circle. That repetition.
There it is again, that powerful repetition. Scarlett reflects, sometimes yielding isn't so bad.
A lesson learned.
Seems like it. And Rocky, with a smirk, he gets the last word. Next time, though, we find our own stash.
Haha. Okay, so still Rocky. It brings it all together nicely, emphasizes the lesson, but keeps his character consistent.
Exactly. Endearing, in a way.
That was a genuinely engaging adventure, and as we went through it, I could really feel those words, taking root somehow. But let's unpack why. Why is that narrative approach so effective for learning? What's the hidden mechanism here with Learn Vocab Fast?
Okay, yeah, this is where the deep dive really gets into the mechanics. The story isn't just, a fun read. It's a carefully engineered vehicle for memory, for comprehension. The book layers several proven teaching techniques on top of that narrative foundation. And what's really insightful, as we touched on, is how it leverages our brain's natural liking for stories.
Right. Narratives activate more parts of the brain.
Exactly. Neuroscientists tell us that. Narrative structures light up emotional centers, visual areas, auditory processing, much more than just reading a list. This makes the memory stick far more powerfully.
So when Scarlett is beseeching, you're not just learning the definition.
No. You're feeling the word through her desperation, through the hiker's plea. It creates a much stronger neural pathway than just Beseech means to beg.
So it's less about sheer repetition, like flashcards over and over, and more about meaningful repetition, where the context itself is the memory trigger.
Precisely. It's about embedding the words deeply, not just temporary association. Think about the difference between trying to memorize a random phone number versus remembering a vivid dream.
Yeah, okay. One sticks, one doesn't, usually.
The emotional and contextual richness is absolutely key. So, Learn Vocab Fast uses this narrative approach because studies consistently show repetition is effective, but when done right.
Meaningful repetition.
Yes, by seeing words multiple times in different meaningful settings, first in the story, then reinforced with clear definitions, synonyms, example sentences, which the book provides meticulously. It just becomes significantly easier for you to remember and actually use them.
Right, moving from just recognizing it to actively using it.
Exactly. Internalizing them quickly, thoroughly. Yeah. Moving from passive recognition to active, usable vocabulary. That's the goal.
And the interactivity doesn't stop with the story and definitions, right? The book has things like multiple choice questions.
Correct. At the end of each chapter, it keeps you engaged. You mentioned active recall being crucial.
Yeah, for someone maybe new to learning theory, what does active recall really mean beyond just, quizzing yourself? Is it just testing?
That's a great question. It's more than just testing. Active recall is essentially the act of retrieving information from your memory without looking at it, without cues.
Okay.
When you just reread something, your brain goes, oh yeah, I recognize that. But that doesn't really strengthen the pathway to pull that information out later.
Oh, I see.
With active recall, like those multiple choice questions, you're actively forcing your brain to find the answer. It's like digging for it. And that retrieval effort, that's what solidifies the memory much, much more effectively.
It's like building muscle. You have to actually lift the weight, not just watch someone else lift it.
Perfect analogy. You're strengthening those neural connections through effortful retrieval, making the brain work for it, which makes it stick.
Okay, that makes total sense. And you also mentioned AI technology playing a part. For learners on the go or who like audio, how does AI enhance this beyond just, say, a basic audiobook version?
Right. So when we talk about AI technology complementing this book, we're moving beyond just basic audio files, though those are useful too, for pronunciation and reinforcement.
Okay.
Think more about adaptive learning algorithms.
Yeah.
Imagine an online companion to the book powered by AI. It could potentially track which words you're consistently getting wrong in those quizzes.
Ah, personalization.
Exactly. And then it could serve you personalized exercises, maybe new example sentences specifically designed around your weak spots, or even slightly varied pronunciations to challenge your ear in different contexts.
So it adapts to you.
Precisely. This multi-sensory approach, reading, listening on YouTube, as they mentioned, repeated exposure, plus these adaptive practice exercises, it ensures incredibly effective and efficient internalization. It becomes a customized, dynamic learning path.
Which is way beyond what a static book alone can do. Identifying individual weak spots, not just one size fits all.
Exactly right. That combination, the compelling story, the structured active recall, and this AI-driven adaptive learning, it creates a whole ecosystem designed for maximum retention and genuine proficiency. It really feels like a shortcut to mastering vocabulary efficiently.
Okay, so who is this really for then? You might be listening and wondering if it fits you.
Yeah.
And the sources suggest it's not just for students cramming for big exams like the essay, DRE, TOEFL, although clearly it would help them.
Definitely useful for exams, yeah.
But whether you're maybe refining your writing for work or just want to expand your word bank for professional reasons, personal growth.
Or maybe English isn't your first language.
Right. If you're an ESL learner striving for fluency, this book seems to offer a really powerful shortcut to leveling up your language skills much faster than traditional methods.
It's about building that genuine proficiency, isn't it? Not just memorizing for a test. It's about becoming truly well-informed, having a vocabulary that actually serves you in any conversation, any context.
So, wrapping up our deep dive today, we've explored how the Bracken Trail Treasure from Learn Vocab Fast, Book 1, really illustrates an effective way to build vocabulary. It blends that engaging story with a proven, scientifically backed learning method.
More than just definitions.
Way more. It's about seeing words in action, hearing them, actively recalling them, and internalizing them in a context that's actually memorable, makes them stick.
It really does. And this journey through, a fairly simple story, but with these complex words, it makes you wonder, doesn't it?
How so?
Well, what other subjects beyond just vocabulary could be unlocked, made just as memorable if we approach them not with, say, dry textbooks alone.
Right.
But with engaging adventures, multisensory tools, adaptive technology like AI. Imagine learning history or science that way.
That's a fascinating thought. So for you listening, what stands out to you about how stories and technology can combine to make learning truly stick? Something to mull over.